Hello everyone and welcome to my 10th Pokemon Challenge run. Today we're back in Platinum again with our next challenge, Piplup. I've been very curious to see how Piplup can manage itself, seeing as how both Turtwig and Chimchar had their fair bit of challenges. Anyways, I'm really trying hard to create quality content for you guys on a weekly basis, so if you have any ideas or like seeing my content, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe so that you can keep up with all of my future videos. Alright, with that shameless plug over, it's time for the rules. Rule number 1. No glitches, hacks, or cheats. I do, however, use speed up, otherwise these videos would take far longer to produce and I'd rather produce them quickly. Rule number 2. I can only use one Pokemon in battle. However, because I am not cheating, I do need to use a gem Pokemon for travel purposes only. And lastly, rule number 3. No items in battle. This doesn't include held items, as I use Everstones during some runs, and so other held items are also allowed if necessary. With all of that out of the way, let's begin. If you guys have seen the other videos on my channel, you know that most of the time I've been opting for an Adamant Nature Pokemon. However, today we're looking for a Hasty Nature Piplup. The reason for this is that Piplup actually has a pretty solid move pool in Platinum, so I'm willing to sacrifice some of our defensive stats for more speed, as well as being able to take advantage of both our special attack and attack stats. The only problem is that we actually have to beat Barry before we can check our Pokemon's nature in this game. That said, Barry is pretty easy to take down, we just trade Pound and Tackle until Turtwig faints. Having beaten Barry and acquired our Hasty Piplup, this is normally where I would begin the grind session for all of our EVs. There's a small problem though, there are no special attack EVs to be had on this route. For the time being, I knock out roughly 70 to 100 Starly and Shinx for speed and attack EVs before making our way towards Jubilife. Except there's one small thing that I happened to overlook that I should probably cover now. I had completely forgotten that Budew, which are available just after this first route, gives special attack EVs. What this means is that we essentially never EV train again for the duration of the video. I do spend some time later on grinding for speed and special attack EVs, but I can't say for certain how many EVs of each stat are actually on Piplup since I wasn't keeping track of NPC Pokemon while progressing through the game. Moving through Jubilife and completely ignoring Budew grinding potential, we're stopped by Barry. Barry leads with his Starly, who we take down with 2 pounds. Turtwig is sent out next, but unfortunately for the poor Turtwig, my dear Pablo gets a crit pound and then takes it out 2 turns after. Turtwig didn't stand a chance. With Barry sent off with his head hanging low, we take on Rourke. Unfortunately for Rourke, we had learned Bubble Beam by this point and one-shot his Geodude. Rourke then sends out his Onix, who is another one-shot with Bubble Beam. Rourke then sends out his last Pokemon, Cranidos, who outspeeds us, but it doesn't matter since we also one-shot Cranidos with Bubble Beam. Rourke was super easy, but I'm expecting a bit more challenge with Mars. Mars leads with Zubat, who thankfully doesn't poison or confuse us after we Bubble Beam it. On the following turn, we take it down with a second Bubble Beam. Mars then sends out her Purugly, and the Chonk Beast fakes us out and then scratches us before we land our first Bubble Beam for a bit under half health. We're scratched again and then land our second Bubble Beam for a huge chunk of damage. On the following turn, it hits us with one more scratch, and then we take it down with a third Bubble Beam with only 6 HP remaining. From here, we head through Eterna Forest, where I finally did the rest of the speed and special attack EV training I wanted to do earlier. We then head into our fight against Gardenia, who leads with Turtwig. Unfortunately for Gardenia, just like with Rourke, Piplup learned a very good move against her team, Peck. After 2 pecks, Turtwig falls. Gardenia then sends out Cherim, who we're able to knock out with a crit peck. She then sends out Roserade, who hits us with a Magical Leaf, before we get another crit peck for the win. After grabbing our second gym badge, we run over to fight Jupiter. She leads with Zubat, who we're able to knock out with a single Brine. Jupiter's last Pokemon is Skuntank, who actually outspeeds us with Night Slash before we land our Brine. Skuntank then eats a Citrus Berry out of fear and then hits us with Smokescreen, but we land another Brine anyways. Finally, after tanking one more Night Slash, we Brine to knock out the Skuntank. The next gym leader we've got to fight is Fantina, a Ghost-type specialist. She leads with Duskull, who actually tanks our Drill Peck and uses Future Sight before Fantina heals it back up. We then land 2 Bubble Beams and take it down, but we're hit with the Future Sight at the end of the turn. Fantina then sends out her Mismagius, who outspeeds us and lands a Magical Leaf, which we answer with the Bubble Beam. We're then hit with another Magical Leaf, but this time we hit back with a crit Brine, knocking it out. Fantina's last Pokemon is Haunter, who faints to a single Drill Peck. Barry is waiting for us at the edge of the city, standing in our way like Gandalf trying to stop the Balrog. He leads with Staravia, who cuts our attack, but it doesn't matter much since we one-shot it with Brine anyways. Barry then sends out Grotle, who would be scary, but we've got Drill Peck, which we use to take off a bit more than half health while it hits us with a rather weak Razor Leaf. On the following turn, we knock it out with another Drill Peck. Barry then sends out his Buizel, which tanks a Drill Peck and hits us with a crit Pursuit. One turn later, and we take it out with another Drill Peck. Ponyta is Barry's last Pokemon, which we drown with Brine. Maylene is the 4th gym leader on our list, and she leads with Meditite. Meditite fakes us out to stall the battle, but we one-shot it with the Drill Peck on the following turn. Lucario is Maylene's 2nd Pokemon, who outspeeds us with Drain Punch before we hit it with Drill Peck. Lucario Drain Punches us again, which we answer with another Drill Peck. On the following turn, Lucario again Drain Punches us, leaving us at 1 HP, but then we use Brine, knocking it out. Maylene's last Pokemon is Machoke, who we just barely failed to one-shot, but thankfully Machoke misses the Rock Tomb, so we're able to secure the win on the next turn with another Drill Peck. Barry stalks us down again before we battle the 5th gym leader on our list and demands that we battle him, so we do. He leads with Staravia, who we're able to chunk with Drill Peck before following up with Brine to take it down. Grottle follows Staravia, and much like with Staravia, we bring it down to half health with a Drill Peck before tanking a Razor Leaf. On the following turn, we knock it out with another Drill Peck. Ponyta is sent out next, which a single Bubble Beam takes care of, and last up is Buizel, which just barely holds on after a Drill Peck. With the next turn, though, we're able to knock it out with another Drill Peck. Barry no longer gatekeeping us from our next gym battle, we challenge Wake. He leads with Gyarados, who we brine for minimal damage while it bites us. We continue to spam Brine for 3 more turns, tanking whatever Gyarados throws at us until we knock it out. Wake's next Pokemon is Floatzel, which outspeeds us with Crunch, but we tank it and crit Brine for the one-shot. Wake's last Pokemon is Quagsire, who we're able to one-shot with Brine, thankfully. Barry quickly reminds us to subscribe before we head out to Celestic Town to battle Cyrus, who had rudely interrupted our story time by challenging us to a battle. Cyrus leads with Sneasel, which is able to outspeed us with a crit slash, but we're able to hit it back hard with Brine. Sneasel hits us with another slash, and then we knock it out with another Brine. Cyrus then sends out Golbat, who takes about half health from our Brine before hitting us with Air Cutter. We then hit it with Brine again on the next turn, taking it out. Cyrus's last Pokemon is Murkrow, who outspeeds us with Drill Peck, taking us down to 19 HP, but we're able to knock it out with a single Brine in response. Barry again stops us, this time threatening to throw us off this bridge. We battle him for bridge dominance, with him leading with his Staraptor. He tries to abuse Double Team Cheese, but we manage to land a single Surf to knock it out. Torterra is sent out next, who we hit with Drill Peck for about half health, while it hits us with Razor Leaf for about half health. One more Drill Peck on the following turn takes Torterra down. Rapidash is Barry's next Pokemon, which a single Surf takes down. Heracross follows the Rapidash, but this time the one-shot is done with Drill Peck instead. Barry's last Pokemon is Floatzel, which outspeeds us with Pursuit, while we hit back with Surf for half. Floatzel then uses Swift, but we answer with Brine, knocking it out and earning ourselves the right to throw Barry off the bridge. Byron is our next foe, the Steel-type gym leader. He leads with Magneton, and thankfully I haven't forgotten that Magneton doesn't have Levitate, so we hit it with Dig for the one-shot. Byron's next Pokemon is his Steelix, who we're able to one-shot with Surf. The last of Byron's Pokemon is Bastiodon, which tanks our Surf, eats a berry, and then uses Iron Defense. On the next turn, we Surf again and take down the Bastiodon, earning our 6th badge. After sinking Iron Island with Surfs during a huge grinding session, Team Galactic blows up a lake, and I can't think of any better Pokemon to fill it back up. Saturn sends out his Golbat, which falls to our Tsunami, same with the Bronzor right after. Saturn's last Pokemon is Toxicroak, which we Drill Peck for the one-shot. With the lake refilled, we head over to the other lake to help deal with Mars. She leads with Golbat, and just like with Saturn, it falls to our Surf. She then sends out her Bronzor, which again faints to Surf. Mars' last Pokemon is Perugly, who is yet another one-shot with Surf. We dub ourselves the Protector of the Lakes and venture north, but first, a gym battle with Candace. Candace leads with Sneasel, which can't stand to the might of our Surf. Abomasnow is up next, and surprisingly we're able to one-shot it with Drill Peck. Candace then sends out her Piloswine, who is yet another one-shot with Surf. Candace's last Pokemon is her Frostlass, which outspeeds us with Shadow Ball before we answer with the Drill Peck for a huge chunk of damage. Frostless eats a berry out of fear and then hits us with another Shadow Ball, to which we answer with yet another Drill Peck, taking it down and earning our 7th badge. We find out that Barry lost to Jupiter, so we head to Veilstone to show Team Galactic that the only person who can bully Barry is me. But as it turns out, Cyrus has noticed my godlike penguin and is beginning to question the legitimacy of his own existence. We follow after Cyrus and find him contemplating how he can possibly overthrow my Pablo as the strongest being in the universe. He challenges us to a battle and leads with his Sneasel, outspeeding us with a crit slash just like in our first battle. And also, just like in our first battle, we one-shot his Sneasel. Cyrus's next Pokemon is his Crobat, which we also one-shot with Ice Beam. Following Crobat is Cyrus's last Pokemon, Honchkrow, which is another one-shot thanks to Ice Beam. Cyrus leaves and tells us that he doesn't care about what we do, he will find a way to overthrow my Pablo. We then head over to Saturn, who leads with his Golbat. Golbat is an easy one-shot with Ice Beam, so Saturn has to send out Bronzor. Bronzor is an easy one-shot with Surf, which means that Saturn has to send out his last Pokemon, Toxicroak. But even Saturn's Toxicroak was a one-shot with Drill Peck. We hike up to the top of Mount Coronet to stop Cyrus's devious plot to overthrow Pablo, but Mars and Jupiter stop us from progressing. This entire fight is just Pablo waterboarding anything that moves, let's be real. Yes, that includes Barry's Pokemon too. Nothing is safe from the flood. Eventually, Pablo is the only one left standing, firmly established as the new god in this most hallowed place. A lot happens, and soon we find ourselves facing off against Cyrus one final time. He leads with Houndoom, which is easily taken down by Surf. Cyrus sends out his Gyarados next, which we surf several times until it faints, after tanking every useless move that Gyarados has. Honchkrow is up next, who we one-shot with Ice Beam. Weavile follows Honchkrow, hitting us with Fake Out, then outspeeding us with Night Slash. A single Surf takes down the Weavile. Cyrus's last Pokemon is his Crobat, which outspeeds us with Toxic, but it doesn't matter since we blast the poor thing with Ice Beam and knock it out. After ensuring that Cyrus doesn't replace Pablo as the new god, we head over to our last gym battle. Volkner leads with Jolteon, which we outspeed and use Dig against for the one-shot. He then sends out his Raichu, which we surf to prevent proccing Static. Luxray is up next, which we use Dig against, easily knocking it out. Volkner's last Pokemon is his Electivire, which we once again use Dig against, dodging the Thunder Punch and knocking it out on the following turn. We clamber through Victory Road, and just as we're about to battle the Elite Four, our adoring fan stops us. Barry leads with Staraptor, which is an easy knockout with Ice Beam. Torterra is up next, which is another easy knockout with Ice Beam. Following Torterra is Snorlax, which we hit with Surf, but surprisingly we get a crit, knocking it out. Heracross is then sent out, which we one-shot with Drill Peck. Floatzel then takes its stand and tanks our Drill Peck, but it can't hurt us at all, and on the following turn we knock it out. Barry's last Pokemon is his Rapidash, which we knock out easily with a single Surf, beating Barry for the last time. Aaron is our first opponent within the Elite Four. He leads with his Yanmega, but we actually outspeed it with Ice Beam in one-shot. Aaron's next Pokemon is Heracross, which we're able to one-shot with Drill Peck. Following Heracross is Vespiquen, who we knock out with a single Drill Peck. Scizor is the next to face us, which we hit with Drill Peck, but it hits us back with X-Scissor for a good chunk of damage. On the following turn, we take it down with another Drill Peck. Aaron's last Pokemon is his Drapion, which we hit with Drill Peck for about half health before it eats a berry and hits us with Cross Poison. We hit it with another Drill Peck and it hits us with another Cross Poison. Aaron then full restores and we use yet another Drill Peck for half, then follow that up on the next turn with another Drill Peck to take Drapion out. Bertha is the second of the Elite Four we must face, and she leads with Whiscash. Whiscash tanks our Drill Peck and hits us with Earth Power for minimal damage. On the following turn, another Drill Peck takes it down. Bertha then sends out her Gliscor, which we're able to one-shot with Surf. Following Gliscor is Golem, which does not fare well against Surf either. After Golem is Rhyperior, which is also another one-shot with Surf. And Bertha's last Pokemon is her Hippowdon, but unfortunately for Bertha, Hippowdon is also a one-shot as well. Flint is our next opponent, and he leads with his Houndoom. We outspeed the Houndoom with Surf, knocking it out. Flint then sends out his Infernape, which actually outspeeds us with Thunder Punch, which also happens to paralyze us. We land our Surf anyways, though, and knock it out. Rapidash is the next Pokemon, and despite charging a Solar Beam, we're unfazed and we one-shot it. Magmortar is up next, and just like with Rapidash, it tries to charge a Solar Beam to no avail. Flareon is Flint's last Pokemon, who outspeeds us with Overheat for minimal damage, which we answer with a Surf for the one-shot. Lucian is the last of the Elite Four who leads with Mr. Mime. We surf Mr. Mime for the one-shot before it can set up any team buffs. Alakazam is up next, which outspeeds us with Energy Ball for a bit under half health. We answer with Surf for the one-shot. Following Alakazam is Gallade, which we Drill Peck to instantly knock it out. Next up is Bronzong, who we surprisingly one-shot with Surf. Lucian's last Pokemon is Espeon, which outspeeds us with Psychic for a good chunk of damage, but we hit it with Surf right after to take it down. The last opponent of the run is Champion Cynthia. She leads with her Spiritomb, whom we surf for the one-shot. Roserade is sent out next, which we Ice Beam to knock it out instantly. Togekiss follows the Roserade, which tanks our Ice Beam and hits us with Shockwave. Cynthia full restores and we hit another Ice Beam, followed by another on the next turn to knock it out. Garchomp is sent out next, which outspeeds us with Earthquake to do a good chunk of our health. We land Ice Beam though and take it down. Cynthia then sends out her Lucario, who we knock out easily with Surf. Cynthia's last Pokemon is her Milotic, who we Drill Peck for about half health while it uses Mirror Coat. We Drill Peck again on the following turn and just barely miss the knockout. Milotic uses Dragon Pulse and takes us down to 30 HP, and then Cynthia full restores. We Drill Peck to take it down to half health again, and on the following turn, we get a high roll for the damage on Drill Peck and knock out Cynthia's last Pokemon. This run reminds me a lot of the Squirtle challenge that we did in Fire Red and Leaf Green, but Piplup has an even larger variety of moves to choose from. I was nervous that our lower speed and that the troubles with EV training at the start of this run would be a problem later on, but I'm very happy with the results this time. Speaking of the time though, the final time for this run was 20 hours and 48 minutes, which isn't our fastest run overall, but it is our fastest run through Platinum at this time. Anyways, I streamed this run over on Twitch, which I plan on doing weekly. Also, if you like this video, please feel free to leave a like and subscribe, as it would help me out a lot. If you'd like, feel free to leave a comment to let me know how you felt about the video, since I love seeing what you guys think about my content. If you're interested in coming and hanging out, feel free to follow the link below to either my Twitch, my Twitter, or my Discord. This has been Shro, and thank you for watching.